Hi, and welcome to your Wellness Wednesday video. Today's healing essence is the flower of love, bleeding heart, sorry. Um, and it came up under the area of compassion. So I want to talk about the difference between compassion and sympathy because a lot of people, I don't feel, understand that. Sympathy energetically is feeling sorry for someone. And yes, there are circumstances in people's life where you will feel sorry for them for what they're going through. But energetically, what that does is that entangles your energy with them and it holds it at it keeps them in a victimized state, I guess. It holds that energy of they are being victimized or they can't handle what's going on. And so it's very disempowering energetically. Yes, to have sympathy for someone whose family member has passed is okay. So I'm not saying that. But compassion, on the other hand, is a open-hearted, emotionally free, holding space for somebody. So it's a very different energy. It comes from compassion comes from the space of I know you're going through some shit right now. Excuse my language, but I know you can handle it. And it's almost an empowering kind of energy. It's holding that open-hearted space for them without that feeling sorry for them. So I hope that kind of clears it up. It feels very different energetically to have sympathy for someone, or if someone has sympathy for you or has compassion for you. So I'll give you an example. When my husband passed, and I appreciate the sympathy, but I could tell the difference between the people who had sympathy for me. They were emotionally entangled in the story as well. And their sympathy almost felt like a heavy, wet blanket that was holding me down as well. And not that that's where they were coming from. But people who held compassion for me, it feels open and it feels, I felt free to express my emotions, if that makes sense. Um, so it's a very, very different feeling. And that's what Bleeding Heart really helps with. It helps us move from that sympathy place to compassion. And I know this can be a struggle for a lot of people who think that they're doing good by having sympathy for others, not realizing that what they're doing is actually holding that person in that emotional state. And so compassion again, and having that compassionate space and seeing them as a fully capable, fully functioning, fully divine being, able to handle what comes their way, but you're going to be there to listen and hold that space for them, holding them up and holding that vision of them being able to handle what's coming their way and being there to be a support is a completely different energy. And so many of us get tied up in that sympathy and that emotional entanglement with sympathy with people energetically. So, what Bleeding Heart does, it helps us to allow for emotional freedom. This frees ourselves up and frees the other person up too. Because the other side of that is those who are, if you are feeling sympathy for someone, that means that you are feeling a heavy heart for them too. Um, and I know a lot of empaths kind of probably have an issue with this because they're not familiar with the difference either. And if we are taking on that energy, then we feel heavy as well, and we are stuck in that energy. So again, compassion is a completely different energy. It comes from that open heart. It comes from emotional freedom. Having compassion for someone means I can hold that space for someone who's maybe going through a loss, but that means as soon as I leave them, I am not holding on to that energy and holding them in that space of that energy. I hope that makes sense. It's kind of, it's more of a felt thing than it is a word thing. So just maybe feel into the difference between the two and think of a time when somebody had sympathy for you or when someone had compassion for you. They feel very, very different, or vice versa. So, those who are very sympathetic beings who like to get emotionally entangled with people's drama and who hang on to that energy and feel heavy hearted and disheartened and feel all those really heavy emotions and just hang on to them and don't release them, that's unhealthy. And so, what Bleeding Heart offers us is it allows us to allow for emotional freedom from others. And it helps us with that emotional containment. So, it's a beautiful essence for definitely empaths or for anybody who's in like a helping kind of profession, like nurses, police, healthcare workers, all of that kind of thing. If they get too emotionally entangled in with their patients or with their clients, this is an excellent one to help you kind of move through that. So again, it's that emotional freedom. I can't say that enough. Emotional freedom, because it just keeps coming to me. So that's what we're gonna call in when we call this essence in, and to call the assistance of this essence, the energetic support of this essence. Um, just take a deep breath and repeat after me. I ask for the flower essence of Bleeding Heart to enter my energy field, energy body, and physical consciousness with the help of the divine. I ask for the flower essence of Bleeding Heart to assist me with emotional freedom and releasing emotional entanglements. I ask for the flower essence of Bleeding Heart to manifest, to integrate. And then just take a deep breath, and wherever you feel the energy, it could feel like waves, tingles, hot, cold, pokes. Sometimes you get like a twitch or a pinch somewhere. And wherever you feel that, just put your hands to anchor it in and say, and stabilize. And then take some deep breaths. So when you call the flower essence in, you're essentially calling that frequency of the flower in to assist you with, specifically in this case, emotional freedom and releasing that emotional entanglement with others. And most times you'll notice within a couple of days, they're very subtle, very powerful, but very subtle. So it's not something, if you think of it like a cut healing, it takes several days to kind of, and several layers to kind of heal completely for a deep wound. That's kind of how the essences work. They kind of start working and working their way in and clearing out some of that emotional entanglement or allowing for more emotional freedom in this example. If you are interested in a personalized healing session, be sure to reach out to me. In a session, usually there's 7 to 10 essences that come up for someone. Very personalized, very healing, very powerful, to help you move through emotional blocks and to give you some clarity on what's kind of maybe going on. So if you've been moving through old belief systems, old patterns, a lot of nostalgia coming up, a lot of emotions coming up, the flower essences can help you move through that a lot faster, with clarity as well. So much love to you. Take care, and we will see you next week.